Currently, the Premier League season has kicked off, and Arsenal fans have a dilemma on their hands. His name is Kai Havertz. I'm sure you've discussed him with your friends at length. He or his role in Arsenal system, or his output, or what he brings to the team, it's a bit like and navigating a very difficult highway. You know, there's many moving parts, and you do find yourself scratching your head at trying to work out on occasion on the surface what specifically does Kai Havertz bring to Arsenal's system, and why doesn't it stand out, despite the fact that it's only been 2 Premier League games, 3 games in general if you count the Community Shield, and it one that does puzzle your head. It is a complex sort of debate. Again, when you look at Kai Havertz, I don't want to praise running stats because you should, but he scores quite high for movements, for running stats, for pressures in the final thirds, for fouls. You can see why Mikel Arteta wants him into the team, if I'm completely honest with you. Of course, you want to see a man get some goals, get some assists, show some quality with a ball at his feet and things. But you can see why he would fit into Arsenal's system. And I think he does fit into Arsenal's system. It's just now a case of standing out. As I just said, while I welcome everything else he does, it's a case of standing out. But when you watch him, he makes a lot of great third man runs. He links up well with his teammates. I think he's a joy to have in relation to his teammates. I think he's very intelligent. His link up plays there. You catch him in the left-handed pocket. He should probably have 2 assists at this moment in time. Mikel Arteta has spoken on his versatility and has been quick to play down, locking down Kai Havertz into one position. People, he sees him as a multifunctional player. We all know his future at this club is probably in midfield. Occasionally he will be deployed as a false 9. Who knows, God forbid, but if there's injuries, you might actually see him play out wide and things. He does need to improve in front of goal. He does need to improve his output. He does need to get goals and assists. But I do think there's a lot of agendas with Kai Havertz. You know, as you can see, he should have scored. He should have got an assist for Martinelli against Crystal Palace. I think there's a lot of agendas. Personally, I think he's been written off. You know, I'm not saying you can't say he'll be a failure or a success, because we don't know, and I welcome all opinions. But I think, considering the fact of he wasn't someone you would have on your books to, you know, improve our midfield and get us closer to Manchester City. Obviously, he's got the Chelsea ties, and it cost a lot of money in wages. So I can understand why, out of the 4 signings we've signed so far, there might be concerns. You can see on the surface what Timber, Raya, and definitely Declan Rice bring. You kind of have to scratch your head for Kai Havertz. And admittedly, I think he's very different to Mesut Ozil, but I do think when you look at how he graces around the pitch, his kind of languid movement, it does mirror shades of Mesut Ozil. But I do think, unlike Mesut Ozil, I don't think Kai Havertz is shy to get in defensively and put in a shift. You see it with the fouls, you see it with the pressing, you see it with him throwing his weight around, even though he's not the most of commanding figures in that regards. I understand the concerns. Trust me, Arsenal fans, I understand the concerns that we have as football fans with Kai Havertz, especially because we're in the Champions League. We're trying to get closer to City where the Premier League is concerned. Evidently, we'd love to go as far as we can in the FA Cup and in the League Cup and bring more silverware home to go with the English Super Cup Community Shield. I do wonder, you know, when it's going to happen. And I think people are a bit unfair to Arteta. You asked him why he would change his system to incorporate Havertz, but he just spent 60 odd million quid on the guy. Why wouldn't he? And it's only been 2 games into the season. So I think people need to just cool off a bit. You know, again, if we're still having the same conversations as time goes on, then something needs to be revisited in this regards. But I won't quite say he's the perfect player for a Mikel Arteta system, but I do, quote unquote, for want of better phrases, think he in principle is a perfect player. You do want to see him show a lot more quality. Admittedly, you do want to see him stand out a bit more. You do want to see him galvanize the fans, which makes you believe, what are the next questions that I believe, in my opinion, what are the questions I would ask Arteta? The first would be, how long is he going to persist with this system as our first choice system, as shown in the next 2 games? Will Partey and Rice play together? Will you get Gabriel in? Will he go for wild cards like Emil Smith-Rowe, Trossard, or maybe Fabio Vieira? In truth, we don't know, but I think it's only been 2 games. We can't draw conclusions, so we'll have to see in that regards. Now, speaking for only myself, in conclusion, people, where Kai Havertz is concerned, I think there are evident concerns. You know, I don't just want a man to stand out. I mean, to fit in, I want him to stand out. I want him to show the quality that had him labelled as the next Mesut Ozil, even though I think he's completely different, and all the plaudits he drew in Germany. You know, courtesy of my notes, for me, I tried to write down my thoughts, people. In my opinion, he's brought a lot of work off the ball. I think he's quite selfless, and his teammates are able to flourish in the forward runs he makes and the positions he takes up, and evidently the spaces that open. I think he fits what Arteta wants in terms of the pressing and that sort of stuff. I think while he's not the most physical of player, I think he's brought a lot of height. I think he's brought a lot of versatility. I think he's brought great off the ball runs. I think he's a very intelligent player whose movement, as again stated, allows other players to thrive. Once again, I do want to see more from him. And saying that, anytime we're talking about work rate and selflessness and having to watch games again to see what they bring, we're bordering into Mesut Ozil territory, and in general we're bordering into dangerous territory, because there's many players that quote unquote do what Havertz does, or can do what Havertz does at this club or elsewhere, that do such and more. People, I would say, for in general on Mikel Arteta's new system, I think a lot of conclusions, by all means, once again, for those that don't understand what I'm saying, have your praises, have your critiques, have your question marks. But we called for Mikel Arteta to be ruthless, to be unpredictable, to add more dimensions into this team, to have more systems, so that when the inevitable injuries happen, it's not just one plan and that's it, really. We're able to adapt and evolve and deal with any circumstances that are thrown our way. And I don't really want Mikel Arteta to get rid of all the plans he has for 2 games into the season. I don't, every manager is allowed to get things wrong, does get things wrong, will get things wrong. But, Mikel Arteta, considering the opportunity we found ourselves in facing Manchester City and fighting them for the title, I don't think in principle he is going to deploy a system that doesn't allow us to win games and doesn't allow players to thrive. People will say, rightly so, why is he forcing Havertz into the system, really, potentially, where Partey, Gabriel, maybe some other players have been a victim to people having to move around? But he's just spent 60 odd million on the man. Why would you not want to find a system for him immediately and get him up to speed? Obviously, he has played in the Premier League. I do think we should allow Havertz some adaptation time. Again, he's only been at the club for a month or 2. That is not enough time. Think about in your new jobs. Are you up to speed with everything in a new role you undertake? That being said, again, where we're moving as a football club, the sort of competition we've got, the money he was brought in, the money he is on, the quote unquote reputation he's had in Germany, the fact that he's a Champions League winner and has a wealth of experience and a German international. Of course, you do want to see more people. Again, the link-up play, off the ball movement is great, as much as I praise Havertz for that. But you could sit there and say that about every player that plays in the midfield and the final third for Arsenal. I also think he's very good at time wasting, and I evidently feel he needs to improve his output, whether he's going to play as a false 9 or as a central midfielder. He was Chelsea's top goal scorer last season with 9 goals. Forgive me if I'm wrong. You saw Chelsea in the last couple of games this season, they're struggling to score goals. And again, Chelsea have at this moment, a lot of problems. So that probably is testament to what you've seen with Chelsea. And obviously, it's not something to overestimate with Kai Havertz. And I would say, really, as I said, I can't expect Arteta, a methodical man like him, to sign my man for the amount of money he did and not find a system to allow the individual to thrive. So I will give it time. Admittedly, I do want to see us lock down a 6 and rotate in 8. So Arteta is clear to do that. As we play the Man United, the Cities, the Liverpools, at this moment in time, I think it has to be Rice, Partey and Odegaard. And I think that is our best midfield pivot / trio as well. And I do wonder how long, as much as we talk about Arteta being ruthless, how long will he persist with Havertz without potentially, not that I think he's playing bad necessarily, he's not playing amazing, he's not playing terrible, but how long will he persist with that without returning Gabriel back into the side, shifting Benjamin White back to right back, obviously putting Partey in midfield, bringing in a Gabriel. I'm not really convinced with Trossard playing as a 8, but that is someone that's probably banging on the door. You do have Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe waiting in the wings, and I do have small hope we sign another central midfielder. Whether these things happen, I don't know, but I'm not gonna agenda anyone. I want it to go well with Havertz, but evidently there's a lot of concerns. But I would say, despite the fact that we've got 6 points from 2 games, there's a lot of question marks with the Arsenal fan base. So this tells you the expectations have been risen, and hopefully in May of 2024, we've got something to really and truly celebrate, people. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Do you believe in Havertz? Is he good enough? What do you make of the system with Arteta and all of that good stuff? Stay safe, stay blessed, smash the like button, check out the rest of the tactical analysis videos. I'm no expert at this editing thing. I'm trying to get better, as you know, like everyone. And like I've asked with Havertz and Arteta, just give a man time, people. Stay blessed, stay safe. I'm out, people. Again, appreciative to you lot tuned in. Please comment your thoughts, please subscribe, and please smash the like button. It's free and it doesn't take away from your day, and it makes the world of difference for the YouTube algorithm. One love.
Because you always just that active red line defending.
I think it's like